are talking about the PlayStation Classic lineup. We finally know the full 20 games on that list. I'm going to pull up a few of them. We knew a handful at first, which included Final Fantasy VII and a few other games. Now we know that the original Grand Theft Auto, speaking of Rockstar, is going to be on there. Metal Gear Solid is on there. The original Rayman, the original Resident Evil, the director's cut version. The first Persona, which is Revelations Persona, will be on there. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, the first Rainbow Six, the first Twisted Metal, Wild Arms, and a few other games. So we now have the final list. We know essentially the features of this system. And I want to ask to all of you, first off, right off the bat, do you think this list and what you're getting with the PS Classic justifies a $100 price tag?
Well, I mean, that's a tough question to answer because so many of these games are hard to get. They're hard to play on modern systems. I think to have this compartmentalized home for all of these things is great. I think the bigger issue is what's not here. And I think that, like, you know, we literally publish lists for a living at IGN. That is our whole business.
We'll get to one of those in a bit.
Exactly. We put together, we take a group of people here and we aggregate a list of things and we put it out there, and the top comments are always like, you missed this, you missed this. And for every one of those conversations, we're all debating with each other about it. There's no perfect way to say There's
no formulation.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
There's no definitive list of the 20 PlayStation games that you could put on this thing to please everybody. That said, I feel like there are some very big gaps here, and I feel like they exist specifically because of modern remasters.
Yeah.
And I think that
What you thinking? Like what games?
Crash Bandicoot.
And Spyro.
Yeah, Spyro.
I wrote a bit about this
Tomb Raider.
on the site. Yeah, there's a lot.
Did you put
Wipeout.
into consideration in the was Activision specifically not playing ball maybe with this? Like, is that less on Sony and more on those are Activision owns properties now, so that's their call if they want to have those on that system or not.
Well, so I did write a follow-up piece kind of about this exact thing of remakes and remaster culture doomed this list from the start because I think there are still a lot of great picks on here and a lot of games that now get the spotlight who wouldn't have otherwise. At the same time, they could have just made the list longer and add more games. But also, why would one company say, "Oh, you can have the game you remember on that thing bundled with a bunch of others, or you can buy our $60 newer version of it"?
Right.
And at the end of the day, they're going to want
It feels weird because it's like if you had, like, what's your favorite band?
Dashboard Confessional. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. So, like, if at Christmas, like they usually do, they're like, "Oh, here's the greatest hits album of Dashboard Confessional," but like 3 of their greatest hits weren't
like 3
there
songs.
because they were
Shut
they were on some remastered album that came out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You'd be like, "Well, I'm glad they're there because I can hear them there." But in terms of like this encapsulated, definitive collection of things,
Sure.
it's missing it. And so, as a modern gamer, yes, you have access to playing Spyro, to playing Wipeout, to playing Tomb Raider and Crash Bandicoot through many other means that have been ported to various collections. But in terms of having them all in one place, which I think the NES Classic and the SNES Classic did a pretty good job of doing, that's debatable, obviously. There's no way of making that perfect. I feel like they're missing some stuff here, and that kind of bums me out.
I think that there's a big difference there. As Nintendo has always been better at sort of ownership of things. Like they've always. You look at sort of the track record of the jump between the Super NES generation and the PlayStation generation, and like a lot of companies like Square Enix and I guess Konami were they were like, oh, let's go over here. And I don't know if that came down to some kind of weird fine print in the licensing where maybe it was like there are games that exist on Super Nintendo that never wound up anywhere else. Like I guess you did get like the Final Fantasy Chronicles, which was like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI, and it wound up on PlayStation. But I don't know enough about the business side from 20 years ago about what was and wasn't okay. But the fact that like Sony's first mascot is owned by Activision should tell you a little bit. Like their Mario is now no longer something they own.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
If you enjoyed that discussion, there is so much more from that and all of our other shenanigans on every weekly episode of Beyond, our PlayStation show. You can head to beyond.ign.com every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific or youtube.com/IGN Beyond every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific for new episodes of the show. Thank you so much for watching.